SocialStudiesGames.us. We're in Unit 7. This is Video 1, as always, based on the APUSH History Guidelines. So we're going to talk about U.S. domestic policy, which we've kind of pretty much already done a lot with the industrialization, big business versus labor, and the government's role in that. We're also now going to expand outward and see how do the progressives during this time and the U.S. government deal with foreign affairs. We'll get to that in a couple of videos, but right now we'll stick mainly to domestic policy. Defend Woodrow Wilson's government protection of consumers, inflation, and the Fed. That's going to be in the next video. We're mainly going to focus on Woodrow Wilson, the president, Democrat, progressive, his policies in terms of protecting consumers. Consumers are the people that consume or buy things. It's you. Not necessarily big business. They are the producers. They make it, they sell it, you consume it. So Wilson, this guy, is going to be all about trying to protect you, the consumer. So before he gets elected, he is in a campaign against Theodore Roosevelt, although Roosevelt is not really his Republican rival at this time. He's for the Bull Moose Party, but he is the former president that we had just studied, so we use him as an example. They are both progressives, meaning that they're progressive ideas or ideas that are based on progress. Quotation marks, but they are new ideas. They are not old ideas. They are not traditional ideas. They're not conservative ideas. They are basically saying the old way that we do things that doesn't necessarily work. We need new, bold ideas that have never been tried before because we need to make major changes. That is a progressive idea, and we have progressives today who say, hey, the way we're doing it's not going to work. We need a major change. We need to do this for these people, and we need to stop doing this. And we're all these things that we're doing, they're wrong. And people are like, I don't know about that. That's a new scary idea. That's what a progressive idea is. Now, sometimes they make major changes that help the world. Sometimes they step too far, and we fall off the world, and very, very bad things happen. Both of these progressive minds believe that the government needs to be strong and active in controlling big business. They need to regulate business. They need to regulate the robber barons, the producers, and make sure that they're not cheating the workers, the laborers, the consumers. The government has to be involved. They do not believe in laissez-faire economics. They do not believe in the hands-off approach. The government needs to be involved, making sure that the meat that we're eating is safe and that the railroads are not cheating us and that the businesses aren't forming monopolies that are jacking up the prices on consumers and that people have fair wages. The government has to get involved to make things more fair. Now, one of the differences between the two is that Theodore Roosevelt believes that you're going to need a big government to establish this. If you want to be able to regulate business, it's going to require a large government with various departments and many government employees to keep big business in check. Whereas Woodrow Wilson promises, no, we don't need a big government. We'll keep the government small, but we'll still be able to do that, which is kind of ridiculous. If you want to regulate the railroads and regulate the meatpacking industry and regulate labor and make sure that the consumers are protected and make sure that monopolies aren't, that requires a bunch of different government departments and all across the country, and it requires employees in all those departments all across the country, regulating, investigating, taking businesses to trial, collecting evidence, gathering evidence from workers, working with the people, working with business. It's a lot. So Theodore Roosevelt was not naive in saying, look, if you want to clean up the environment, if you want to regulate business, it's expensive and this is what's required. Whereas this sounds nice. And so people were kind of attracted to the idea of, oh, he's going to do it for less. You got it, Woodrow. Also, Theodore Roosevelt, part of his platform, when we talked about platforms before, these are their beliefs. These are their ideas. This is what they say they're going to do to get you to vote for them. Now, Roosevelt doesn't really have a chance. He's a third-party candidate. Third parties in this country never win, but one of the interesting things that third parties do is they introduce new ideas that eventually the main party will absorb and take a part of their own, or appropriate would be the word, where he's not going to win, but his idea eventually will find its way into the mainstream and everyone will say, well, yeah, that's a great idea. Although he never gets elected, the idea eventually becomes a part of cultural norms and governmental norms. One of these progressive and way out there and a crazy new idea during the turn of the century, around the beginning of the 1900s, the 19-teens, is the idea of welfare. And you're probably thinking, what? Welfare is a brand new idea at the time. And some may say it's a progressive idea right now or even today. But we have welfare and all these programs. This graphic that I'm showing you is all these welfare programs exist today. Roosevelt Ted here is the first person, as his campaign promotes, is this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to help out the poor. I'm going to help out the needy. I'm going to help out low-income families by giving them temporary assistance. Bad things happen, the government's going to give you money to help you out. This exists today. If you lose your job, you can go to a government agency and apply for unemployment. And while you look for another job, the government will send you money to help you pay for your rent, help you pay for your bills, help you pay for your loans, help you get food on the table. The government will help you out. Did not exist for the longest time. He is the first presidential candidate to promote or propose this progressive idea. SNAP, Situational Nutrition Assistance Program, which in the past was referred to as food stamps or your EBT card. This is where the government says, look, you're having trouble paying the bills, you don't earn very much money, you have kids. The government will step in, give you money every month to help you buy food. So the government helps low-income families pay for food. Medicaid, this is health care or health insurance for the poor, for children and for low-income families that cannot afford health insurance. The government says, fine, we'll pay for it for you, which is basically taxpayers doing that. But you have to take care of the people, is what Roosevelt says. You can't just let people starve. You can't let people just die. We as a country, if we have the means, we should provide these welfare programs to people. SSI, if you have a disability or you cannot work today, the government says, look, we get it. You have a disability that makes it unable for you to get a job and to work. We are going to give you money to help you live the best life that you can. Housing assistance. I know, unfortunately, we often refer to these places as the projects, and that's unfortunate. But some people struggle to pay for homes, and we do not need Americans across the country being homeless. And so what happens is the government gives money to families to pay their rent. In some cases, it pays their full rent. In other cases, they pay a portion of the rent, but they help families that have money, because if you're not just kicking a person on the street in most cases, you're kicking a person and children, 5 years old, 3 years old, 8 years old. That child did nothing wrong. Why should they be homeless? And so the government, according to Teddy Roosevelt, should step in and help people out with housing assistance. And then the earned income tax credit is just another example today of the government helping those in need. And then last, votes for women. At this time, women did not have the right to vote. The Constitution did not say that women could vote. It also did not say that women could not vote. It was up to the individual states. Teddy Roosevelt says, look, all women in every state should have the right to vote. You vote for me, we're going to make this happen. Unfortunately, ladies, Woodrow Wilson is going to win this election. Again, remember, he was a third-party candidate. He was coming up with progressive ideas. Third parties introduce new ideas. Eventually, those new ideas become mainstream ideas, like the right to vote for women. He does not win. Woodrow Wilson wins. He didn't have a chance. He was a third-party candidate. Wilson, though, is a progressive as well. So, ladies, you're going to be all right. And his plan, as opposed to the ideas that we just talked about for Teddy Roosevelt, was the triple wall of privilege. Oh, God, that privilege word. That's a loaded word today. His plan is to stop unfair, there's that other word, bank practices, stop trusts, which we also call monopolies, and end high tariffs. You may not know what a tariff is, but we will go into that in a second. A tariff is a tax on importing or exporting goods, mainly importing, like shoes or cars or computers. If it's made in another country and it comes into this country, there is a tax for bringing it from that country to this country. He says, we need to end that tax. We need to stop it. Why does he want to do this? Why does he want to do this? Why does he want to do this? This is a lot of things, by the way. You're going to get a small government's going to do all this, Wood? You sure, Woody? Well, that's what he says. The reason he wants to do it is he wants to help out the consumer. This is a long word to write out this way. He does not want to help out the elite, the wealthy, the ruling class, the business owners, the rich. Why does he feel such disdain for these people? I don't know, but he loves the people, wants to help them out. This is his plan. It's triple wall privilege. So number one, tariffs, again, are taxes on importing goods. So imagine you got a pair of shoes that are made over in England. You ship them over to England, bam, we smack a tariff onto those pairs of shoes. Now, it was 5 buckaroos. Now it's actually $7.50 because you got hit with a 50% tax. Now, we're used to taxes of 7% or 8%. When you buy a soda for $1, it's $1.07. That is a sales tax. Now, I'm making it 50% to show an exaggeration, but in a lot of cases, there are tariffs that are very, very large. I'm using this to get a point across, because if I show you a tax that's only mere pennies, it won't get the point across the way that I need to show you that tariffs are actually kind of bad. So now, instead of a $5 pair of shoes, it's a $7.50 pair of shoes. And you might be saying, why do that? Why increase the price of shoes? That cost me more. I got a $5 pair of shoes. Now it's the same exact pair of shoes and it cost me $7.50. Gee, thanks, Woody. What are you doing? Well, let's explain why exactly Woody Wilson is doing that. Because not only do they make shoes in England, but guess what? They make shoes here in America too. But unfortunately, because American workers are more expensive, they cost more, it costs more money to operate the business in America, or for whatever reason, there's a lot of different variables that happen throughout time. And the same stories exist then, that exist today, that existed in the 1700s. This tariff issue is still today. You'll see that Donald Trump talks about this, and our political leaders are constantly debating about tariffs. And they were in the 1990s under NAFTA and Bill Clinton. And they were in 1780 and in the 1800s with Alexander Hamilton was talking about tariffs. This ain't going away, folks. Get used to it. A lot of the stuff that we study in this class existed then, and it's still being debated today. Like, well, why haven't we figured that out yet? Because you can't figure this stuff out. There are no solutions. There are no solutions. There are only trade-offs. If you decide one way, if you decide to help people A, then you hurt people B. And if you help people B, then you hurt people A. There's no winning in social studies. When you make one decision, there's an effect on the other side. And if you help something else, then you change something on the other side. You just try to do what's ultimately the best or the least bad decision. I know it sounds crazy. This is not science. This isn't math. There aren't an answer. There's no answers. Get it out of your mind. And it's not just for social studies class. It is for life. In life, you deal with this too. There often isn't a solution. You just have to make the best choice and deal with the consequences, deal with the trade-offs. And sometimes you change your mind and it fluctuates. And so we will be debating this. When you are 70 years old, they will still be fighting about, should we have tariffs? Should we not have tariffs? In this example, shoes cost more to be made in America. So the reason why we slap a tariff on, well, see right here, without a tariff yet, you buy the shoes over here for $5. They're a better deal. It's the same exact pair of shoes. Of course, you're going to spend $5 for the shoe instead of $6 for the shoe. Unfortunately, if you don't buy American shoes, American businesses go under. Now, you're probably like, well, who cares about the rich business owner? Sure, but that means less factory workers. And if less people have jobs, then we're spending less money. It means less money in the economy, and then eventually even more factories go down. And it goes down and down and down. The economy never grows. So one of the theories about, hey, we can help protect or help our economy, and you hear this conversation a lot, maybe not in terms of shoes, but in terms of making cars or other things, furniture, any other things that we make in this country. A lot of times we say we need to stop buying from them and buy from our own country. And if we buy from our own country, we will create more jobs and the economy will go up. So ship the shoes over, you slap a tariff on. The price has now gone up. And so now all of a sudden, and that's bad for you. Yeah, no, I got to spend more money on shoes. But now you say that $6 pair of shoes, that's not so bad. I'd rather spend $6 than $7.50. So yes, this hurts you. Good for this guy. But when you buy American, USA, it creates USA jobs, not jobs in the UK. Their jobs go down, and who cares about them? And then he's got money, he spends money, we create more factories mean more factory workers, more spending money, and it all happens because we created this tariff. That's why we have tariffs. That's why Alexander Hamilton said in the beginning of our great democracy in the 1800s with America, he said, look, we've got to create tariffs to protect American industry. Otherwise, American industry will never develop. We'll never become one of the most powerful countries in the world unless we protect our factories. We're going to continue to buy from England, who's already powerful. When we buy from them, we make them more powerful. And eventually, if they get too powerful, maybe eventually they'll come back and take us over again. We got to protect our economy. And that's the same thing that Donald Trump is saying today. What? Alexander Hamilton's really cool. And he's a lot like Donald Trump. I'm not saying any of that, but I'm just comparing their beliefs. One of the beliefs that Donald Trump and the Republicans have, which is crazy because it was actually used to be a Democrat idea. Now it's a Republican. It's all gets switched around. The Democrats believe in up and down and Republicans believe in up and down. It's all, if I'm confusing you, then I'm confusing you. Either way, tariffs protect the American economy, helps out the rich business owner, hurts you.